If you saw a movie scene that was filmed in our house here in Munich, you would immediately know that it was set in Germany. Here's why. Hello, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Feli. I'm originally from Munich, Germany, which is where I am right now. This channel was created because I spent 9 years living in Cincinnati, Ohio, just moved back to Munich, Germany 6 months ago. And a couple months ago, I showed you guys our new house here in Munich. It's a rental and it's very, very German in a lot of aspects. And I showed you guys some of the most German traits about this house. But I noticed that there were a lot of things that I forgot to mention. A lot of you pointed things out in the comment section. So this is like an update video with even more super German things about our house here in Munich. Starting out with this thing on top of our toaster. I don't even know what this is called. Some toasters also have this built in with like a little flip where you can just move it up and down. Ours comes separately, but what is this for? If you're American, have you ever seen this before? Do any of you have something like this? In Germany, I would argue that maybe not all toasters, but probably most toasters have something like this. It is for bread rolls. This is a frozen bread roll, by the way, in case you're wondering why it's so pale. But whether it's a frozen bread roll or a fresh one or a pretzel or any other kind of pastry that you'd like toasted, but you don't want to put it inside the toaster, you can just put it up here and you can even just use it to heat it up a little bit. The longer you leave it on, the more crispy it'll get, of course. But yeah, this is what this is for. Can fit a good amount of bread rolls up here. And if that's not German, then I don't know what is. Then I told you guys about the leaf-patterned dishes that so many German households have. And last time I was like, oh, I know we have a whole bowl of this too. Where's the bowl? I can't find it. Funny enough, the bowl was actually in the video. We were just using it at the time. And it was one of those things where like, I was so used to it sitting on the counter that I didn't even recognize it was there. But you can see it in the background where I'm showing the bread cutting machine. Anyways, just wanted to give it one more shout out. We have another plate of this as well. A lot of people have smaller bowls with this pattern as well, but it is the classic leaf patterned bowl. And I also think that a lot of our other plates are actually pretty typical German because they have these patterns, like these little paintings basically on them. Ours has like a little ship and mountain scenery with a lake, bunch of flowers on the outside. And these came with the house, so we did not purchase these. I cannot tell you if these are worth a lot, where to get them, but I can tell you that you will find them in a lot of older German, and maybe it's also just a Bavarian thing. I'm not quite sure if it's a Bavarian thing. Households though, like grandparents, aunts, etc. A lot of you guys regularly message me telling me how you too grew up in a pretty German household despite living in the US because your grandparents or great-grandparents were immigrants from Germany. Hi, Izzy. I mean, I hear so many great stories about German meals that your families would cook, or about holiday traditions, or certain vocab that you picked up from your German grandparents, often curse words. But I'm not sure if you guys realize that this might potentially make you eligible for German citizenship through descent, which then also means that your kids and their kids could get it too. Now, whether or not you're eligible depends on the exact immigration timeline and circumstances of your family, but if your family meets the requirements, you could actually become a German citizen without ever having lived here. Well, a dual citizen, of course. You wouldn't have to give up American citizenship for this. The only thing is that finding out whether you're eligible and then tracking down all of the required documents, such as birth certificates, marriage records, etc., can be a lot of work. And especially if you don't speak any German and need to find German-speaking documents, it can get really tricky. But that's where Athena Genealogy comes in, because they specialize in helping people like you through the process from beginning to end, which is why I've been partnering with them. First, you can fill out a short questionnaire on athena-genealogy.com and book a free discovery call where they'll look into your case more in depth and determine whether or not you're eligible. And if you are and decide to get the process started, they will help you track down all of the required documents. They can even drive up to archives here in Germany to look through physical files. They can have the documents translated for you, and they help you communicate with the German authorities to fill out all of the required paperwork you have to go through. They've already helped hundreds of people obtain their German citizenship by descent, so they know all of the ins and outs and could save you a lot of time and effort. So if you think your family might qualify, just go to athena-genealogy.com to check out their services and schedule your free discovery call, and maybe you'll end up moving over here too one day. Now in the last video, we also still had a lot of the lace curtains on all of our windows. We have replaced them down here since. Now we have these green ones, which we personally prefer, but we haven't replaced them in the entire house yet. Like here, for example, it's just like these lace curtains with the, I think they're swans, maybe they're flamingos even, flower patterns and everything. I mean, they're beautiful, but they do just give me also like a little bit of that old-fashioned grandma and German household vibe, and it's just not really our interior style, so I think eventually we will replace these, but these are very typical German in my mind. Next up, this is another thing that is so typical German, and I have mentioned this in videos before, and we did not purchase this, we did not bring this, it came with the house, and it is a Schuhlöffel. A shoe spoon. Now, of course, these do exist in other parts of the world as well, but in the US, I haven't really seen them a whole lot in households, whereas in Germany, it's very common, especially at like older, more established households, like a family, for example, that you walk in and the first thing you will see is like the wardrobe with at least one of these Schuhlöffel, because it just helps you get into your shoe. You just put it in the back of your shoe and then your heel can just glide into it. So it helps, you know, a lot of older people first of all, but also it helps a lot of children too. I did show you the bathroom last time, including how the light switches are usually on the outside and how in a lot of places you will find these stickers that tell you to sit down to pee. Even if you're a man, you're not allowed to stand in a lot of German households. But one thing I totally forgot to show you guys is the towel racks / radiators. So basically these are a radiator. You can turn it up and down here, but it also doubles as a towel rack, which is so nice because it just dries your towels so quickly. They're always warm when you get out of the shower. This is our guest bathroom, so we don't actually currently have any towels here, but I'll show you a little snippet of what it looks like in our actual bathroom. It's just too messy right now to show you, but you can just hang them right here. You can put racks here, whatever you want to dry, and I wish these were more common in the US too, but definitely super German thing to have. Now this is a super obvious thing, which I think I didn't point out on purpose last time because it's just so simple, so obvious. But in German houses and most European houses, we don't have doorknobs. Instead, we almost always have door handles like this, and in a lot of cases they also come with a little key where you can lock the door. So like, for example, on my bedroom door growing up, I always just had a little key and a lock, traditional key that you can remove if you want to lock the door. And yeah, always a door handle, which I will say comes in super handy when you're carrying a lot of things at the same time and you're like trying to open up the door without having a free hand. That's a situation where a door handle comes in so handy because you can do it with your elbow, you can do it with your knee maybe, or if you're super flexible with your foot. However, one downside is if you have pets or kids or anyone that's not supposed to open the door but can figure out how to, which a lot of dogs specifically, but also some cats are smart enough to figure out door handles, then it can be a little bit of a downside compared to a doorknob. But generally, a lot more accessible for more people and more situations. Another thing I didn't mention last time are the walls. First of all, as you can see, these are textured walls, but this isn't like drywall with some texture spray on top. We have full-on brick or concrete walls in Germany, even for interior walls, and then they have like mud or plaster on top of it. And so that's what this is. So I think when they mudded this, verputzt, I don't know if that's the correct translation to mud, but I think so. I think they just put this pattern in because they liked it. Textured walls are actually very common in Germany. Plus, as you can see here, German walls are usually really thick. This isn't even like one of the thickest walls I've seen. I've seen them like way thicker, especially for exterior walls. But yeah, having an interior wall this thick is pretty standard in Germany. And this is all solid. This is not hollow on the inside, which the downside of that is that you can't really do a lot of DIY projects super easily. And every time you want to drill into the wall, you have to drill first with a full-on like hammer drill. You have to put an anchor, etc. Drywall can be a lot more fun when you just want to do some, you know, renovating, DIY stuff, hang something up real quick. If you want to move an outlet with drywall, not even that difficult. Or tear down the whole wall, put up a whole new wall. This stuff, it's solid. You're not gonna do a whole lot of DIY work with this. And even the floors are pretty typical German. Also, please, don't look at my cat's butt. Don't show them your butt. It's not polite. Now, hardwood floor is pretty common in the US too, of course. But here in Germany, more often than not, you will see something like this, which we call parquet. And it's not always in this pattern. You'll also have patterns that look like this or like this. But in my experience in the US, when there's hardwood floors, it's usually just like long hardwood floor, what we would call Dielenboden in German, as opposed to this. So every time that I see a photo where I see a floor like this, I usually assume it was not taken in the US, and if it's between the US and Germany, I would know, yep, this must be Germany. But if you live in the US and you do have parquet, definitely let me know in the comments below. Another thing that I don't really see in American homes, but definitely in a lot of German homes, especially from like 50 plus years ago, are these marble stairs or like full-on marble staircases, etc. I mean, it's awesome. It definitely feels very high-end, but I will say walking on these in socks or barefoot, it doesn't feel super cozy. So I feel like if I had the choice between carpeted stairs, as is common in the US, and these marble stairs, I would probably pick the American ones. But yeah, if you see a staircase like this, I would definitely call it pretty typical German. Plus the floors in our entryway are marble as well. And last but not least, it wouldn't be a German household if we didn't have one of these, which is a Zollstock, Meterstab, I think Gliedermaßstab or something like that is the official term. There's always like some Schlaubi-Schlumpf in the comment section that corrects me. And by Schlaubi-Schlumpf, I mean know-it-alls that like to correct me when I call this a Zollstock or a Meterstab, because that's usually what I call it in German. But I guess it's not the proper terminology. Anyways, these are super common in Germany, and I've mentioned them in a video a couple years ago where I said that I had never really seen these in the US, and that is true. A lot of people said that they're just an old-fashioned tool in the US, and I'm sure that's true, but I can tell you that in the US, in Cincinnati, I've had more than one, I want to say 2 or 3 contractors that came to our house, and I did have one of these in the US because I just like them a lot, and I would give this to them when we needed to measure something, or just, you know, I just had this on me for the appointment, and they told me that they had never seen something like this. Anyways, I personally feel like these are more practical than a tape measure when you need to measure something by yourself, especially if you need to measure something really long. But of course we have tape measures as well here. Regardless, if you see something like this, chances are you're in a German household. Now, I'm sure I forgot even more things that are typical German about our house. So if you saw anything in this video that I didn't mention in the last video either, definitely point it out in the comments below, and maybe I'll have to make a part 3 to this series. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Also, be sure to let me know what else you would like me to show you from my, I guess, new life here in Germany. New old life, I should say. What do you want to see in terms of houses, stores, places, routines, everyday life? Put it in the comments below, and Ben and I will be sure to catch up on all of the requests we've been getting. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the subscribe button for free, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment. Any type of interaction supports me at this channel, and I really appreciate that. So thank you guys for your support, and with that, I hope I'll see you next time. Tschüss!